Welcome to another video in our series Commissioning of a variTRON system. My name is Schleicher and I work at JUMO as a technical trainer. With the variTRON 500, you can record process variables and evaluate them with smartWARE evaluation. In this video, I will show you the basic steps for setting up data recording and performing the evaluation. Let's get started. In this video, I will show you specifically how to record the actual values of controller channels 2 and 3 of the controller module, transfer the registered measurement values to the data store, and display them in a dashboard of the JUMO smartWARE evaluation. I will install the smartWARE evaluation in a moment. In any case, my variTRON system will be displayed in the smartWARE evaluation with the device name. This should be System 1, and I will set it here in smartWARE Setup variTRON. Even if you are not working with a DNS server in your system, you have to assign a DNS name for your variTRON 500 system here. If you do not enter it, the settings in the submenu will not be accepted. Next, I set up data recording. You can record analog and digital values in several groups. You can set the recording rate individually for each group and vary the storage rate depending on an event or a time range. I put the two actual values in group 1. I give the group a name, which will later be displayed in the smartWARE evaluation. I now place the two actual values in two analog channels of the group. First, I select the actual value from channel 2. And now the actual value from channel 3. I want to assign separate names to the two channels. I can do this after activating the respective slide switches. I name the first channel. The actual value is a temperature. The temperature can range from 0 to 200 degrees. I adjust the display range for the channel accordingly. Here too, a change is only possible once I activate the respective slide switch. I assign the name for channel 2. In a previous example, we used channel 3 to control humidity. The relative humidity can range from 0 to 100%. I could also record digital values in these digital channels. However, this is not necessary for my application. Here I set the intervals at which my signals are to be recorded. In my application, recording should take place every second. I will install the smartWARE evaluation on my system soon, which will also make the data store available. My variTRON system will then send the registered data to the data store. Although the data store does not yet exist, I am already entering the address of my computer under Data Store Gateway. I activate the gateway and enter the address of my computer here. Finally, I set my variTRON system to update the data store every 3 minutes. I transfer the configuration to the system. Before the variTRON system transfers data to the data store for the first time, I will now ensure that all previously recorded data is deleted from the CPU. This prevents irrelevant data from being displayed in smartWARE evaluation. I delete the previously registered data with help of the web cockpit. I call up my system with the web cockpit. I log in with master 9200 as a factory default. I go to device info, then to data store gateway, and finally to the export status. Here I see that the data store is not accessible. This is to be expected, as the data store does not yet exist. So I delete the data that has been registered so far. So I install the smartWARE evaluation, which will then make the data store available to me too. I start all the sub-programs that are necessary for the operation of the smartWARE evaluation. In this script window, I can see how all the processes are started one after the other. After all applications have started, the window disappears again. smartWARE evaluation itself is a browser application. If it is installed on my computer, as in my case, I call it up in this way. Here too, I log in with the default user name master and password 9200. In smartWARE evaluation, I check whether my variTRON system has already sent registered data to the data store. This option is available under Setup Data Overview, Data Store. Here I go to Devices and look at the most recently transferred data in the data store. Here I can see that 2 data packets, each containing 3 minutes of data, were sent from my device. In smartWARE evaluation, you can define different plans. These can also be arranged hierarchically for a better overview. The devices are then assigned to one of these plans, which is then the device location. I will now assign my variTRON 500 to a device location. To do this, I go to Setup Data Overview, Configuration. In the Device Plant submenu, I can see that one plant is available. I will now place my CPU in this plant. I save my changes. In smartWARE evaluation, the evaluation is based on dashboards. Therefore, I will now create a dashboard that contains the 2 actual values. I go to Setup Data Overview in Configuration, then Dashboards. I create a new dashboard and give it a name. A dashboard must also be placed in the system, so I add it under my variTRON system. My variTRON system records measured values in 2 channels, which I add to the dashboard. When I open the dashboard, a time range of 30 minutes should be displayed without further zooming. I define this as follows. I save my dashboard and can call it up immediately from this view. In my dashboard, I see my two channels as a diagram. I see the measured values in tabular form, and I also see an event list. If, for example, I only want to display the diagram, I can change the layout as follows. A dashboard is normally called up via evaluation. My variTRON 500 system will update the data store every 3 minutes, and the new time range will be available in the dashboard after it is called up again. If the smartWARE evaluation is stopped as follows, no further transfer will be possible and the web application will no longer be available.